The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam.
ISIS will be using the refugee crisis, the global refugee crisis, to place their foreign fighters on Western soil. We've known about it. We've talked about it here on The Rebel. We've talked about it elsewhere. We've also been denounced as bigots, as racist for saying such things. But ISIS has said this up front, and they've already done it in several instances. But more has to be done to push back against this group that is making tens of millions of dollars per month, according to Brennan, through both taxation and black market oil supplies. That's money that will continue to fund terrorism, that will continue to fund propaganda that is used to, well, bring about sympathizers like Omar Mateen to carry out their own attacks.
As I said before, this aspect of our strategy was moving too slowly, but the fall of the Mahdi has galvanized the Russian government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
Shishan. George Bush brought a spark of jihad to Iraq, and it flared up there. Still, nowadays it was Obama who became the true hotmate in formation of our caliphate. This great man contributed a lot to our cause. Inshallah, thanks to you Muslims brought down the regimes of the Wahid, who ruled not according to Sharia in many countries of Maghreb.
What do you think about the mosque controversy?
I think we need more mosques.
Why?
So we can show the world that we are not bigots.
But don't you know what happens in countries where Muslims rule?
I don't care. We need more hope and change.
That is crazy.
There are too many Christian fundamentalists trying to impose their views on us through government.
What?
They are trying to take over America. We need more Muslims to show the world how multicultural we are.
But don't you read about what is happening in Europe because of rampant Muslim immigration?
You must be a bigot.
Please. Let's talk about the issues. These events are important.
No. You should not be allowed to speak. You must have supported Bush. You're a hate monger.
But I'm trying to have a dialogue with you about the issues.
Your hate speech should be banned.
But don't you know that Sharia law is being implemented in many European countries with large Muslim immigrant populations?
I don't care. You're a warmonger.
But in many European cities, there are now no-go zones where non-Muslims and police cannot enter.
Islam is a religion of peace. We should welcome all of them.
Yes, but don't you think we should carefully screen which immigrants come here from Muslim countries?
No. You spread hate. I will report you for hate speech.
But don't you think Muslims need to reform their religion to embrace all cultures and renounce violence among them?
No, Muslim immigrants should come. We are a nation of immigrants.
But aren't you aware of the human rights abuses in many Muslim countries, where women don't have rights and are tortured?
No. Conservative Christians oppress women's rights because they don't want women to have abortions. You must be a radical right-winger.
I simply want to have a dialogue about the issues affecting the world.
I'm going to call campus security and have you arrested for hate speech.
No, I'm not condoning hatred towards Muslims. I'm simply addressing a global concern regarding the violence and their religion. There are many who want to destroy Israel and America.
You're a fascist.
Doesn't it feel like every time you want to have a sensible discussion about facts and reality and trends within society, particularly when it overlaps with any kind of politics, don't you feel like any time you want to have a sensible discussion, all of these hysterical brain parasite...
You couldn't just say, like, what are the problems in America? Hillary can make a case because she will say something that's actually political. This guy don't even say nothing. Tell me the issues in America. What are the issues in America? First off, people like me are dying. The bank's running everything. Anybody else want to get in on this? I know Donald Trump wants to bring jobs back to America. You say jobs are an issue. Donald Trump says he wants to bring them back. I didn't say nothing about a job. How? He quit sending jobs to China. We have companies going to Mexico. What do you you talking about? Are you even listening? I said people like me are dying. American companies. You want to know why everything you pick up says made in China? That's because other companies devalue their currency, and so companies can make a greater profit overseas. Donald Trump wants to bring it back.
Donald Trump is capitalist.
This is America. Capitalism.
Capitalism cannot exist without exploitation.
Didn't think so.
Let's bring it back to black people being killed by police.
Okay.
What has Trump said about that?
What about white people being killed by police?
Fuck off! White people!
That's not racist, though.
The junior senator from Alabama went on to predict that Trump can turn the economy around for those on the lowest rung of the economic ladder very quickly.
That's just how white folks will do you. It wasn't merely the cruelty involved. I was learning that black people could be mean and then some. It was a particular brand of arrogance, an obtuseness in otherwise sane people that brought forth our bitter laughter. It was as if whites didn't know they were being cruel in the first place, or at least thought you deserving of their scorn. White folks.
Senator Obama, I want to begin by asking you about Don Imus. You have condemned his remarks about the women's basketball team at Rutgers. Let me ask you pointedly, do you think he should be fired?
I don't think MSNBC should be carrying the kinds of hateful remarks that Imus uttered the other day. Ray assured me that we would never talk about whites, as whites, in front of whites, without knowing exactly what we were doing, without knowing that there might be a price to pay.
The polls are showing your husband is trailing Hillary 46% to 37% in the African American community. What's going on here?
First of all, I think that that's not going to hold. I'm completely confident. Black America will wake up.
Our rage of the white world needed no object, he seemed to be telling me, no independent confirmation. It could be switched on and off at our pleasure. And yet, even as I imagined myself following Malcolm's call, one line in the book stayed with me. He spoke of a wish he'd once had, the wish that the white blood that ran through him, there by an act of violence, might somehow be expunged.
Well, Nora, something else happened in New Hampshire that we're still analyzing within the Barack Obama campaign. First of all, we're moving on to South Carolina. But there were tears that melted the Granite State. And those tears that Mrs. Clinton cried on that day clearly moved voters. She somehow connected with those voters. But those tears also have to be analyzed. They have to be looked at very, very carefully in light of Katrina, in light of other things that Mrs. Clinton did not cry for, particularly as we head to South Carolina, where 45% of African Americans will participate in the Democratic contest, and they see real hope in Barack Obama.
That hate hadn't gone away. It formed a counter-narrative, buried deep within each person, and at the center of which stood white people, some cruel, some ignorant, sometimes a single face, sometimes just a faceless image of a system claiming power over our lives. I can no more disown him than I can disown my white grandmother, a woman who helped raise me, a woman who sacrificed again and again for me, a woman who loves me as much as she loves anything in this world, but a woman who once confessed her fear of black men who passed her by on the street. I took her into the other room and asked her what had happened. A man asked me for money yesterday, while I was waiting for the bus. That's all? Her lips pursed with irritation. He was very aggressive, Barry. Very aggressive.
I gave him $1 and he kept asking. If the bus hadn't come, I think he might have hit me over the head.
The point I was making was not that my grandmother harbors any racial animosity. She doesn't. Right. But she is a typical white person who, if she sees somebody on the street that she doesn't know, there's a reaction that's been bred into our experiences that don't go away and that sometimes come out in the wrong way.
Actually, he's right, I said. It is a racist book. The way Conrad sees it, Africa's the cesspool of the world, black folks are savages, and any contact with them breeds infection. Regina blew on her coffee. So why are you reading it? Because it's assigned. I paused, not sure if I should go on. And because the book teaches me things, I said. About white people, I mean. See, the book's not really about Africa, or black people. It's about the man who wrote it. The European, the American, a particular way of looking at the world. If you can keep your distance, it's all there in what's said and what's left unsaid. So I read the book to help me understand what it is that makes white people so afraid. Their demons, the way ideas get twisted around. It helps me understand how people learn to hate. Black politicians less gifted than Harold discovered what white politicians had known for a very long time. That race baiting could make up for a host of limitations. A steady attack on the white race, the constant recitation of black people's brutal experience in this country, served as the ballast that could prevent the ideas of personal and communal responsibility from tipping into an ocean of despair. Yes, the nationalists would say, whites are responsible for your sorry state, not any inherent flaws in you.
No, no, no. Not God bless America. God damn America. That's in the Bible.
Afterward, in the parking lot, I sat in my car and thumbed through a silver brochure that I'd picked up in the reception area. It contained a set of guiding principles, a black value system, it said, that the congregation had adopted in 1979. At the top of the list was a commitment to God, who will give us the strength to give up prayerful pacifism and become black Christian activists, soldiers for black freedom and the dignity of all humankind.
Hillary was not a black boy raised in a single-parent home. Barack was. Barack knows what it means to be a black man living in a country and a culture that is controlled by rich white people. Hillary can never know that. Hillary ain't never been called a nigger.
There was one particular passage, though, in Trinity's brochure that stood out. A commandment more self-conscious in its tone, requiring greater elaboration. A disavowal of the pursuit of middle-classness, the heading read.
Lied about inventing the HIV virus as a means of genocide against people of color. The government lied.
It is this world, a world where cruise ships throw away more food in a day than most residents of Port-au-Prince see in a year, where white folks' greed runs a world in need, apartheid in one hemisphere, apathy in another hemisphere. That's the world on which hope sits.
Did you know that he had made these statements before the videotape appeared?
You know, frankly, I didn't. I wasn't in church during the time that these statements were made.
There is a man here who can take this country in a new direction.
And so it went, a meditation on a fallen world. While the boys next to me doodled on their church bulletin, Reverend Wright spoke of Sharpsville and Hiroshima, the callousness of policymakers in the White House and in the State House.
Yes, Shanklin, Pennsylvania happened to us, and so did the Sharpsville massacre happen to us. A government-sponsored religiosity makes you suffer from amnesia. We bombed Hiroshima, we bombed Nagasaki, and we nuked far more than the thousands in New York and the Pentagon, and we never batted an eye.
Most of the time, when I'm in church, he's talking about Jesus, God, faith, values.
Today, Hillary Clinton revealing her official economic plan.
You can't solve our problems without economic growth. Growth creates jobs and prosperity, and that is the glue that binds our society together.
So, Stuart, you say there's a clear choice. Hillary Clinton wants to make us more like Europe. Donald Trump wants to make us grow again.
That's my opinion.
With all sorts of stuff. What's the matter with Europe?
What's the matter with Europe?
What's the matter with Europe for the folks at home? You remember you're a refugee.
I am a refugee from European socialism. It's not a sustainable model. They're bankrupt. Many of those societies are bankrupt.
They're super in the red.
They've had no growth, virtually no growth, for many, many years. Their population is actually declining, and it's aging. That is not a sustainable economic model. It's just not. It might sound in terms of growth and expansion. Donald Trump would lower taxes for individuals and for corporations. He would cut regulation. He would encourage domestic energy expansion and output. That's a recipe for vigorous growth in the economy. And look, they're in decline.
What I've heard people say, they like Donald Trump's plan because he takes it from 4 brackets to 3 brackets. Everyone gets benefits because everyone's going to have their taxes lowered.
Trump wants to cut taxes for the super rich. Well, we're not going there, my friends. I'm telling you right now, we're going to write fairer rules for the middle class, and we are going to raise taxes on the middle class. Trump wants to cut taxes for the super rich. Well, we're not going there, my friends. I'm telling you right now, we're going to write fairer rules for the middle class, and we are going to raise taxes on the middle class.
The purpose of the SIP is to, quote, provide accurate and comprehensive information about the income and program participation that has constantly been screamed down, that you constantly be called xenophobic, racist, Nazi, whatever. Well, it turns out that intuition, that instinct that you had, yeah, it's correct.
When do we beat Mexico at the border? They're laughing at us, at our stupidity. And now they're beating us economically. They are not our friend.
Black people and white people can't be unified for Trump? That's bullcrap.
Trump refuses to denounce the KKK.
How do you feel about the recent endorsement from David Duke?
I didn't even know he endorsed me. David Duke endorsed me? Okay. All right. I disavow. Okay? Yes. All right. Yes.
In the absence of the truth, bullcrap prevails. So here come the truth jokers. Look at what's been going on. All the people are coming out the dang Walking Dead. You know, the people who don't pay attention to politics until the election cycle comes around. And they get so emotional. They get all into it, and you know, they pick their sides and they fight against each other, but in reality they ain't getting nowhere with it. So you're falling for the little racist angles. You're fighting each other, you're ripping up the signs. And oh yeah, let me go to this. This is something here. How is it that this little fake joker right here comes out and endorses Donald Trump? Now, elections are all about perception. So when you see this guy endorsing Donald Trump, you will say, oh, well, Donald Trump is a racist because he's endorsing Donald Trump. But here's the thing. What is KKK? Well, the KKK was created by the Democrats. KKK still belongs to the Democrats. So this guy right here knows that if he comes out and throws his support behind Donald Trump, it's going to get the reaction of this. That's the only reason why he's coming out and doing that. Lyndon B. Johnson did the same thing in the 1964 election. He made an ad saying that Barry Goldwater was endorsed by the KKK. But how is he going to say that when the KKK is a Democratic entity? They are the prop, and I'm talking about the KKK. The Democrats are the most racist party in history, the only party in American history to kill black people because they wanted them to vote Democrat. Lyndon B. Johnson said, I'll have those N-words voting Democrat for the next 200 years. When he was talking about N-words, he was talking about black people, and black people, they still vote Democrat.
Neither have I. You don't know me. You're fucking a white male.
No. Today, our country has lost a true American original, my friend and mentor, Robert C. Byrd. Senator Byrd was a man of surpassing eloquence and nobility.
There are white. I've seen a lot of white in my time.
I admired his tireless advocacy for his West Virginia constituents, his fierce defense of the Constitution and the traditions of the Senate, and his passion for a government that improves the lives of the people it serves.
There are white. I've seen a lot of white in my time.
They mentioned that he once had a fleeting association with a Ku Klux Klan, and what does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. He was a country boy from the hills and hollows of West Virginia. He was trying to get elected.
As Secretary of State, I continued to rely on his advice and counsel. Robert C. Byrd led by the power of his example, and he made all of us who had the honor of serving as his colleagues better public servants and better citizens. Robert C. Byrd left such a legacy.
We have given her $20,000 anonymously for her campaign fund. She is friends with the Klan. The KKK endorses Hillary Clinton. About illegal immigrants. She doesn't. She's acting like she does so she can get into office. She's a Democrat. The Klan has always been a Democratic organization.
People in the streets.
Does Hitler not remind you of that? Does Trump not remind you of that?
No, explain to me how Trump is like Hitler.
Mass abortion.
There isn't any sensible approach except to do what we need to do simultaneously. You know, secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary in some places, and we need to have tougher employer sanctions, and we need to try to incentivize Mexico to do more. If they've committed transgressions of whatever kind, they should be obviously deported.
Sessions went on to explain that Obama's immigration policy is killing wages, particularly for immigrants and minority groups, because the flow of labor is so large, it floods the labor market and depresses wages. Of the Daily Caller, Donald Trump is going to do better with Hispanics and African Americans because he's talking about things that will really make their wages go up.
I do not support gay marriage.
I live in New York. New York is a place with lots of gays, and I think it's great.
I'd be shorter if we... That's the bullshit. So obeying the law. Donald Trump wants to obey the laws on immigration. Donald Trump wants to vet...
And basically fuck with the one person who stands in the way of us being ruled by Donald Trump.
Just before I came in here, we thought we'd do a little search in our files, and I do notice that a William Mayer gave a Clinton-affiliated entity $1 million. Now, it's a William Mayer in LA, where at the time money came. Perhaps you would like to comment. Is that you?
Yeah, I don't think...
For the KKK, Hillary Clinton is our choice.